Hi everyone. It's a very pleasant morning here in Bangalore, and I have a very special guest today to have some soul-to-soul conversation. So I welcome Priyanl Keni on the Industry Connect series.
So thanks a lot, Divya, for the elaborate introduction. I think you said it better than I could.
How did you land into rifle shooting as a sport, and that too professionally?
So rifle shooting, very honestly, just happened by chance. I get asked this question very often that how did you plan everything so intricately? How did the timing of everything just fit? But
Do you also want to give any general interview and resume tips to the folks who's watching this?
anyone listening to this is going to ever apply for a consulting job, please don't use the same CV that you're using for any traditional CA job to apply for consulting. Like reach out to someone working in consulting. They are the best people who can really advise you how you can make your outliers highlight in your CV, how you can make your spikes highlight, and the other things.
Hi everyone. It's a very pleasant morning here in Bangalore, and I have a very special guest today to have some soul-to-soul conversation. My name is Divya Daga, a chartered accountant working in the financial services industry, and I'm hosting today's session organized by Seekamentor. Seekamentor is an IIM alumnus-founded online platform that aims to make quality mentorship more accessible and personalized. If you're new to Seekamentor, we are a P2P platform with more than 150 experts from diverse industries. Over the last few months, we have helped over 6,000 mentees through our mentorship programs and initiatives, collaborating with more than 45 institutions. We also have free resources and live courses, and you can also book a one-on-one session with your preferred mentor today. If you're interested to know more, please check out the link below. Okay, so about today, it's not a very specific career domain that we're going to discuss, but something interesting about our guest's career journey. So I welcome Priyanl Keni on the Industry Connect series. It's a pleasure to host you today, Priyal.
Thank you so much, Divya, for actually inviting me to be a part of today's talk. And I just hope through whatever conversation we have over the next 30 minutes, we end up sharing something meaningful that will ultimately add value to all the listeners.
Great. Look forward, Priyal. While we'll talk elaborately about Priyal's journey later into the conversation, let me give you a brief introduction about her. A chartered accountant by profession who's currently working in consulting domain, Priyal has had an international rifle shooting career spanning 13 years, having won more than 117 medals and broken 3 national records. She also has founded a non-profit initiative, Play and Shine Foundation, which is on a mission to foster sports culture in India. She's selected as McKinsey's NGWL Women Leader 2020, being one of India's top 15 women social entrepreneurs handpicked for Shakti's incubation program, which is founded by Harvard alumnus and funded by Facebook. Priyal is also a 3x TED speaker and has been recognized in the Forbes magazine as well. So this is just a short extract, from her long list of achievements. So if you would like to know more about Priyal, please check her LinkedIn link in the description below. And also, I'll request Priyal if you want to cover anything specific before we get into the questions.
So thanks a lot, Divya, for the elaborate introduction. I think you said it better than I could. But just to give everyone a brief background, I'm a chartered accountant by qualification, currently working in consulting. Have always been a sports buff, so picked up a rifle at the age of 13 and didn't look back. Spent a good 13 years of my life pursuing rifle shooting, still am, out of which 7 to 8 years I was with the Indian rifle shooting team, an experience that totally transformed my life. My love for sport also motivated me to start my own nonprofit organization through which I'm working at the intersection of sports and sustainability. I have spoken about the work I do through TEDx and a few other coveted forums. By getting involved in the social impact space, I've also got a chance to work with UN Women India. I'm currently one of the 8 women spearheading the Generation Equality campaign in India. And like Vivya said, if you would like to get in touch with me, have any career related questions, feel free to reach out to me through Seekamentor or just drop me a message on LinkedIn. I'm always up for a good conversation.
Okay, great, Priyal. I have to say you have achieved an impressive feat, and I'm so excited to talk to you today. Being a fellow sportsman and also a fellow CA, so let's get started. Okay, so the first one is, how did you land into rifle shooting as a sport, and that too professionally?
So rifle shooting, very honestly, just happened by chance. I get asked this question very often that how did you plan everything so intricately? How did the timing of everything just fit? But it just happened purely by chance. Like I said, I was always a sports buff. So before rifle shooting, there were a lot of other extracurricular activities that I was pursuing. So right from the age of 5, I was into classical singing, then dancing. Then there was a share of a lot of sport like throwball, basketball, chess before I actually stumbled upon shooting. So the good thing was the track record that I have of pursuing sport and a lot of different types of sports actually helped me get that validation that when I started shooting, I kind of know in a very short span of time that this is my true calling. This is what I absolutely love doing. This is what I am passionate about. So I think 2 or 3 months after I started shooting, I knew that this is my sport, this is my thing, and I decided to pursue it more seriously. Increase the number of hours I was training, got a little more serious with the training rigor, and spoke to my coach about it. Made a plan of what are the competitions I can participate in, how I can really climb up the ladder, and I think within 18 to 20 months, I qualified for the Indian shooting team and made my debut at Germany. So it just was one thing leading to another, and I took opportunities in my stride as they came. Just put my head down and kept working. And there was also a little bit of luck factor. Won't discount that. That the right doors opened to me at the right time. So I had a very steep progression at a very early age. So it was no intricate planning. In fact, nobody in my family is a sports person. So through the process, while I was learning, so my parents, everything was as new to them as it was to me. And I think as a family, we were really like trying to figure out how sports works, how this happens. So yeah, that is pretty much my story of how I got started with rifle shooting.
Oh, that's interesting, actually. And I mean, like, just carrying forward this conversation, basically, I just want to know your opinion about the fact. Do you think there is a correlation between being active in sports and doing well in, say, in personal life on the other fronts? Do you see any correlation between the same?
Actually, I'm so glad you asked this question because most commonly the question that I get asked is, does sports help improve your academics? So is there a correlation between sports and academics? But I don't look at it as a relation between sports and academics. It's just that sports gives you an exposure that improves you in general as a person. And then if academics is what you are serious about, or anything else is what is on the top of your mind, can be starting your own project, own venture, the kind of attributes or the kind of learnings you pick up from sport really help you in any aspect of life. So, for example, for me at a very early age, getting out of the little bubble I was living in, because I used to be around my family and my close friends, getting out of that, moving to different cities, staying on my own, learning to deal with failure at a very, very early age, because you work very hard for matches, you put in your heart and soul, but then things don't work out. You get beat into the ground, and then you again lift yourself up and tell yourself that you've got to keep going. It's like failure is nothing but a stepping stone to success. So I think one of the best key takeaways from sport was it made me a very resilient person, and this one trait really is so beneficial for me in other aspects of my life. It has made me a better student. It has helped me become more focused, more goal oriented when it came to my academics or anything else that I do in life. So I think sports really impacts your personal life in a very profound manner. Shooting is a mental sport, so it helped my concentration, that helped in my academics, made me a much more disciplined individual. So while today a lot of people ask me, how do you multitask and how do you manage your time and do all those things, it largely comes in from the discipline that sport has taught me. So that is why I always recommend to everyone that even if you don't want to pursue sport at a serious or a professional level, still do some sport for 2 or 3 years, or stay in touch with it in some form or the other, because not all lessons of life are learned within the four walls of the classroom or just by reading from books.
That's true. And I think I can also correlate with all of what you've said because during school, I was actively involved in playing football. Okay. And I've represented my school in various tournaments at national CBSE, in the state levels, and all of that. So, I mean, like that phase of my life, I clearly remember I was actually very happy. I was doing well in academics. I was doing, well in other stuff personally. So I think I directly correlate that, you have to be, I mean, like if you're active in any of these sports for that matter, I think it's going to definitely, kind of fine tune you to, do better in your personal life as well. So yeah, thanks for the input there, Priyal. Next, going on to how did you, end up choosing CA as a career? Was it something that was always on your mind to do?
Yeah, in a way it was, because so this decision of CA happened actually very early on when I was in the 11th, 12th grade. So the good thing was I always had a very strong academic acumen. So though shooting was already happening then, I was playing for India. I knew this much, that I did not want to pursue my passion for sport at the cost of giving up any of my academic aspirations. So I kept telling myself that, how can I really balance the two? How can I do both the things? And as far as academics is concerned, also I wanted to challenge myself. I want to see how far I can go. So in addition to pursuing a normal bachelor's degree, I was looking at different professional courses. So out of all the options that were available, I was kind of picking between CA and CS. But given the fact that I'm more of a number crunching kind of a person, I just felt CA is where I am more interested towards. So that's how I decided to pursue CA. But then when the 12th grade exams, 12th grade results came out, at the same time, I also was at the peak of my shooting performance. I had like just come back from an international competition in Germany where I finished fifth at a world level. And also my 12 boards results came out and I was like among the top 10 in the state. So it was a very tough decision at that stage, because being at the peak of both careers, at the end of the day, one thing that I always tell a lot of students is no matter how good you are at everything, there can only be a number one goal, because there will be a trade-off at times. There will be a time where you have to prioritize something over the other. So it's always good to have clarity that at that point, what is your number one goal and what is your number two goal. So I decided that till my BCom is not over, I'll keep shooting as my number one goal, because there were a lot of important international competitions also coming up within the next 2 or 3 years. And then the minute I'm done with my bachelor's, I will go back and pursue the chartered accountancy course. So that was the timeline that I looked at. 3 years of BCom just focused on college life, college stuff, and shooting. And the minute my bachelor's was done, I appeared for my IBCC examinations. And a year later, I stepped down from the Indian team and started with my articleship.
Fantastic. And also, how did you choose consulting as a career after qualifying CA? I mean, like, how has your experience been so far? And I mean, like, do you also want to give any general interview and resume tips to the folks who's watching this?
Of course. So consulting actually happened because at the end of CA, 3 years of articleship and post 1 year of post qualification experience, I, more than knowing what I want to do, I definitely knew what I don't want to do. So I did not want to go back to audit tax. So I was like, if not this, then what are the other options I can look at? So among all the options, consulting really stood out because I just felt that I will be able to use a bit of whatever I've learned in CA, the financial analysis, reporting, understanding how finances work, plus with understanding the business side of things, and really be able to work on projects in consulting. Secondly, what I really loved about consulting as a domain is it really helps you improve a lot of important non-technical skills, because it's a client-facing role. You have to involve good presentation skills, communication skills, plus each and everyone told me before I really put my leg into it that, you'll have a steep learning curve, you'll always be on your toes. And that is that's the way I wanted to challenge myself during the early stages of my career, where you can, still take the intensity, take the rigor. So keeping all these things in mind, and of course, after talking to a lot of people, doing a lot of due diligence, I decided that I'll look at consulting as a career. So applied to a couple of firms and ultimately decided to work in one of the big four. So that is how consulting started. And my experience in consulting has taught me one thing, that the CV or the resume that you prepare for consulting is traditionally very different from a CV or a resume that you prepare for any other job application. For example, when we would prepare a CV for CA, for any CA job, it would be very technical. You're covering accounting standards, you're covering a lot of the technical aspects and the knowledge Whereas in consulting, they really want to know your leadership skills. Have you ever led team? Have you ever led any project? What kind of communication skills you have? So it's very different. So if anyone listening to this is going to ever apply for a consulting job, please don't use the same CV that you're using for any traditional CA job to apply for consulting. Like, reach out to someone working in consulting. They are the best people who can really advise you how you can make your outliers highlight in your CV, how you can make your spikes highlight, and the other things.
Yeah, totally agree with that. And coming back to basically, I also can only imagine how you juggle between a high intensity consulting job and life as a social influencer, as I may say. So, any productivity hacks that you follow?
So there are a lot of little productivity hacks that I follow, but I think the one most important thing that almost always works for me is I journalize a lot. So I think journalizing is a great way of not only holding myself accountable for things, but then again, there's a difference when you just dream about things, but when you actually put it down in a form of a plan of action with definite deadlines, that's when the dream becomes a goal. So every time I see myself doing something over the next 6 months or 12 months or 18 months, I put it down in my journal. I actually chart out a plan of action. I set myself certain milestones or deadlines, and I start working towards it. And one thing that I have really noticed is manifestation works. It works in the most miraculous and wonderful way. Sometimes you manifest something so crazy that seems very irrelevant at that point of time, but then it actually happens in the most unexpected ways. So journalizing helps for me. I'm also a sucker for Google Calendar, so I generally plan my schedule well in advance. Even the tiniest of events, 15-minute coffee chats, or anything that I just have to even remind someone of or remind myself is it's there on my calendar. So I think a little bit of journalizing and micromanagement really, really helped me.
That's nice. Actually, my follow-up question was going to be on any of the apps that you use, but I think you've already covered Google Calendar. Anything else that you use for basically organizing your day?
No, so as of now, it's largely Google Calendar, and I actually am an old school person. I actually turn up with my pocket notebook and pen everywhere, and I have to like actually scribble down things. And then, even
Yeah.
if it was some event that was in store and it didn't go well over there, only I'll make my tiny note that, this is where you screwed up, this is where you could have been more prepared. Or if I do something properly, I just, write myself like, yeah, go treat yourself an ice cream over the weekend. So it's like this funny thing I have going on with myself.
That's nice. Even at office, I struggle using OneNote because a lot of my colleagues ask me to use OneNote to make notes. I'm like, no, I'm very comfortable writing in my notepad. So I think, yeah. Cool. Let's also talk about your social venture, which is Play and Shine Foundation. So, what is it all about?
So, Play and Shine is basically a sports-based NGO. The idea for it stemmed from whatever sports experience I had, because at an early stage, being someone who did not come from a family that has a sports background, did not have access to the right resources, and was even looking at different funding opportunities, I realized that there are a lot of people like me out there. There was still an advantage I always had that I came from a tier 1 city, but a lot of my friends and teammates actually moved to tier 1 cities from tier 2 and 3 cities. And it's a very struggle at the initial process till you don't figure it out. So that was one of the ideas behind starting Play and Shine, of actually trying to provide children an access to sport. And then the second idea was the kind of transformative impact sport has had on me. I wanted to make sure more children have the opportunity to go through that. So we largely also work with children from underprivileged sections of the society, because whatever education programs or schools or colleges, largely government and local, they are a part of, it's all about going to school and learning about academics. There's very little that's done to actually pay heed to the non-academic things that actually play a pivotal role in their overall holistic development. So I just felt Play and Shine as an organization could come in at this stage, actually use sports as a tool to foster their individual and cognitive development. And of course, through the medium of sport, teach them a lot of important lessons at an early age, where, the only thing that matters is what you bring to the team and the game, because sports is a great equalizer. They stop looking at people from different backgrounds differently. Gender equality just comes in automatically. Girls feel very empowered because they start looking at themselves as at par with men, and they also feel they can achieve something, and they should not underestimate themselves. So a lot of these little beautiful aspects that do not generally get through the medium of academics is what we try and achieve through Play and Shine.
And I think that's a great cause, because I mean, like, I've never come across any NPOs, who are doing this at a sports level. And just a follow up, I mean, like, somebody like me, or who's interested in sports, how can we contribute, say, to this very cause? I mean, like, also, can we volunteer, say, at your foundation?
Yeah, we in fact always have volunteering opportunities available. And if you're based out of Mumbai, then it's nothing like it, because we work with a lot of BMC schools across the city. And once the academic year kicks off, we basically have like weekly training sessions with the children where volunteers go and play some sport with them or conduct some sports ed workshops with them. So if this is something that interests you, you can like feel free to get in touch with me, or just drop us an email at Play and Shine's email that's available on our LinkedIn handles or website. It's playandshinefoundation@gmail.com. And we can figure out if there's any school within the close vicinity for you where you can just go in over the weekend and, have this 1 hour session with the kids. So there are some sessions that happen on weekdays early in the morning and some that happen on weekends. So since most of us are working, we kind of know what kind of schedules our work life expects from us. So we are very mindful of that also. So it's not only a great opportunity for students, but even for working professionals, if this is something that really interests them.
That's nice. I'm definitely going to reach out to you after this. Okay, great. Okay, the next question, that is something that I really want to ask personally. Okay, how do you keep yourself motivated to, one, venture into new things, and basically to also be able to multitask? And in short, basically, what do you think drives motivation?
So I think my main source of motivation comes a lot from the self drive I have, because I keep asking myself, I indulge in a lot of self introspection where I keep telling myself that, where were you 3 months back? What have you been able to accomplish in these 3 months? Where do you see yourself 6 months down the line, 12 months down the line? And a lot of this largely comes because as a 15, 16-year-old, when I really started off early in my career, did not have access to the right set of mentors, really let go of a lot of opportunity, which now I regret I did not knock that particular door or did not venture that option that I have before me. So now 10 years later on, that I think regret is what drives me, that, had I shown a little bit of courage, or trusted myself a little more, believed in myself a little more, because I highly discounted myself. There were so many opportunities that I had before me, but I just let go of it because I just felt I was not good enough. So at this stage of my life, anything that comes my way, I really want to like take the leap of faith. I want to try it out, even if it feels like unrealistic or impossible. I don't want to have the regret probably 10 years down the line that, Priyal, you didn't try this out. So there's a lot of self-drive and motivation, that self-drive that actually leads to this motivation, and also having a clarity of thought that, where do you see yourself 1 year, 3 year, or 5 years down the line? But of course, one thing that I have always noticed is never to overdo this entire motivation aspect, because there have been a time where I have also overdone it, and now I very consciously keep track of it. So while it's always good to work hard and do things, I think it's equally important to pause and take breaks. And that is something that I personally believe in now. So even if you see me like really hustling Monday to Friday, or maybe even on a Saturday, at least Sunday, I take some time off where I wake up without setting an alarm, really take some hours off screen time, or do things that are really important for me. Because no matter how passionate you are about something, even your passion can make you hit a burnout if you overdo it. So I would say, while it's always good to stay motivated, try and find a perfect balance between being motivated and also taking some time off for yourself or for your personal life.
That's true, actually. I totally agree with this overdo thing, because I mean, like, I've seen people hustle a lot and, just get burned out. And I've like also seen people who, I'm like, see, also, from a perspective of how things are happening these days, right? There's a lot of information overload because of, say, social media and all of that. And people in general lose a track of, what they want to do in life. So I think it's also good to have motivation, and also not to overdo it, like you said, and not to get burned out. I think you need to strike a balance between the two. So yeah, I totally agree, Priyal. Okay, so this is the last one. What is one piece of advice that you would, want to give to the youth of India who's watching this today?
So I think, like I just answered in the previous question, never underestimate yourself. That's been my biggest regret in life till now, and it's something that probably even as an 80-year-old, I'll probably tell myself that as a 15-year-old, you should have done that. So don't underestimate yourself. If you feel you want to do something, pursue any particular course, or even take that trip, or take a probably gap year from your education or job to just figure out what you want in life. It's okay. Like, do what you feel is right, have control over your career, and at the end of the day, make sure you don't have any regrets of not being able to do something. And of course, when you take such tough decisions, there are risks involved, but I think the best bet that you can do is to bet on yourself. So I would just suggest, don't self exclude yourself, don't discount yourself. It's only when you put yourself out there and test the true potential that you have, you'll know the extent to which you can actually go, or what caliber you really have.
That's a great advice, Priyal. Okay, that was a fantastic conversation. I had real fun interacting with you, and because this was a little different this time, it was not only career, it was also discussing personal life and general motivations in life. I think I've enjoyed this session a lot. And also, for the audience, Priyal is a mentor on Seekamentor platform. So if you want to have or get some mentorship advice from her, do book a one-on-one slot with her on Seekamentor's platform.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, I'm always up for a good conversation, and I always feel that I wish that when I was at the early stages of my career, such kind of mentorship platforms and forums are more readily available. But now that you have the options, feel free to reach out to mentors. We've been in your shoes, so we can understand what you're going through. So at this stage, honestly, no question is a stupid question. So even if you feel very miserable about asking something, go ahead and ask it. We've been through the same journey. We know how it is. We know the 10,000 questions that can go on in your mind. And even if otherwise you ever want to get onto a coffee chat with a mentor, or just drop them a message or a question on LinkedIn or through Seekamentor, don't hesitate to do that. Don't be like, what will this person think? Am I spamming this person? Am I judging this person? It's okay to send out that cold message and see. I have cold messaged so many people over the past 2 or 3 years, and trust me, it's opened up a lot of doors for me and a lot of great conversations, a lot of great networking. So don't hesitate to put yourself out there. People understand where you're coming from, and they're really sweet and considerate.
Thanks, Priyal. Thanks for taking out time to do this. I'm glad we caught up for this. And yeah, so for the audience, we would love to hear your suggestions on the content or topics you would like us to cover. Please do drop in, in the comment section anything that you want us to cover in our future videos. Seekamentor has anyways planned a lot more interesting topics for the upcoming week, so stay tuned. And also do not forget to subscribe to this channel and follow us on LinkedIn and Instagram to ensure that you do not miss out on any updates. All the links are below, and thank you from all of us at Seekamentor. Have a great day. Thanks, Priyal.
Thanks a lot. See you.
See ya. Bye.